special three-part series. We look at the ways in which technology is used in the classroom in Neepawa Collegiate and Neepawa Middle School, both as part of a specific digital curriculum and as part of the everyday classroom. In this final part of the series, we join a class at Neepawa Middle School to see the ways in which they interact with learning materials during class time, and also how technology has changed life for teachers outside of the classroom. While the provincial government announced this summer that personal devices were no longer allowed for students in middle schools, our visit in June prior to the announcement demonstrated how those devices were being used for educational purposes, and that the conversation around cell phones in schools is more complex than just calling them a distraction.
Great. Okay, so one of the major ways that we are using technology at the grade 7 level here is we use Google Classroom, which kind of is all-encompassing of all classes. Students can complete assignments online. They can do what used to be Microsoft Word has been replaced with Google Docs. So this is a way students can collaborate on their work. They can add each other to the documents, and that way they can work on it together. They can submit it to their teacher, and it's all in real time. So that's super helpful. What should I show on Google Classroom, guys? Okay, so for example here, students were working on a cereal box project. They wrote their summaries and submitted them on Google Classroom. So here I can see 22 students, which is the number I have, turned them in. And I had 0 that forgot to hand them in. So as a teacher, that makes it super easy for me to see who's done their work and who isn't. The only trouble being if a student hands in a blank document, it also shows as turned in. So I do have to look at them. So here I can see this student has submitted multiple things here to be printed for their project. We can see their writing. I'm also able to give them a grade here. I'm able to comment if there was something more I wanted them to include. And they could also share this with fellow classmates if they were wanting a peer edit. So that's super nice.
All right, so when you guys log into Google Classroom, what do you see? Obviously you can't keep up the grades, so what do you see when you log in?
We see like the classes laid out kind of when we're on mobile.
Okay.
You see almost the exact same thing as the teacher sees.
Okay, but for all your classes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does one of you want to show what your Google Classroom looks like? We won't judge if not all your assignments are.
I could.
Okay, great. And this is available on any device, right?
Yep. Just don't upload classes.
Great.
So we can also have due dates on here. We can have the rubrics and the criteria on here. This actually really developed during COVID when students were learning from home. Teachers were kind of forced into using this, but it ended up being a good shift because it's an easy way to collect assignments and students are aware of due dates. I have all my classes on here as well as extracurriculars. So like grab and go breakfast that we do, it's just the teachers in here because we're finding it useful to stay organized that way. Social studies, I'm able to post things like videos and maps on here so students can look at them while they're working or studying.
So how much do you guys do on Google Classroom compared to how much you do maybe on paper?
Say about half and half.
About the same amount?
Yeah, I would say 50-50.
So you're still doing stuff where you're having to write things out on paper, handwriting,
Yes.
things like that?
Yeah, they still do plenty on paper. With AI coming out, it has been a little bit of a shift back to pencil paper because we want to see what students can actually write in comparison to what they can find. So, yeah, about half and half.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also all have devices in the classroom here, is that right? Or most people do?
Yes, actually, for Beautiful Plains School Division, we have a 1 device to 2 students ratio right now. Fortunately, a lot of students have personal devices, so in this classroom, everyone has access to a device.
Okay.
So ideally in the future, we would have 1-to-1 devices just because that's the direction we're heading in. But I'm fortunate in here that there's enough personal devices that we can all be on tech at the same time.
Excellent.
For you next.
Okay.
Let's do a Kahoot, you guys.
Oh my god.
So we will do it about ecosystems, because that's what we're doing right now in science. So this is a good study tool. It's a good, like, students have created their own Kahoots to study. They can find some online that are pretty good and made by teachers. If I could find. And it's all gamified learning, so some are individual, sometimes kids are put on a team. Either way, they're playing a game, but having to answer questions about the curriculum while they're doing it. And they get pretty excited about it. Okay. So, I'm on the teacher side of Kahoot right now, and all I did was type in ecosystems, which is what we're learning in science. I can then choose from a variety of different Kahoots and topics, or I could create my own if I wanted it to be super catered to what we're learning. So this one says 5th grade ecosystems, but if we're just doing a review, I can look at the questions and see that that's all things that we've been talking about today. So then I would click host live. And I can choose if I want to do classic mode. There's also team mode, which I think the kids like more. Is that what you guys like? Do you like the classic or the team better? You like classic? So the classic would have their individual names pop up. Teams, it randomly puts them on teams, which I find the games more fun that way. But you guys don't? That's okay. Okay, so it gives them a pin as well as a QR code. They can scan it or enter the pin. Just make sure you guys are putting your names on so I can see who's in. Okay, we're gonna start here. If you haven't joined yet, this pin stays up the whole time, so you can always join late. Which organism is a producer? Frog, grass, mushroom, or lizard?
Oh, it's just team talk.
So then they all have the same question on their device and they can click which one they think.
I have to think about whether I know these. And so it lets you know as it goes how many people are participating.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And once everyone's answered, it moves on, or it gives them about a minute to answer.
Okay.
If someone's frozen.
Russell's isn't working.
Oh, okay. Russell, just exit and then log in again. Okay, so most people got it correct that a producer would be grass here. We just talked about that a mushroom is what? Decomposer. A lizard would be what? A consumer. And a frog would be what? Also a consumer. So then we have names coming up for who got it right the quickest, which was Chance for this one. We won't do all 25 though. Which is most responsible for recycling dead plants and animals in an ecosystem? The most responsible. Water, fish, bacteria, or insects?
That's the wrong one.
Oh, actually got it right.
Okay, the answer is bacteria. We were just talking about earthworms and maggots, so maybe that's why some of us thought insects. But the correct answer here would be bacteria. Who's question mark?
Me. I didn't know what to put for
Okay.
the team.
Okay. Should we try a look it? Okay, this is another gamified way of learning. Very excited to be able to.
And these are all like different online software that you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, just all
Access?
websites, all free for educators, which is awesome, and all connected through Google. So again, just using that same login.
So it is all through Google Classroom still.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, I can create or I can discover ones that other people have made. This one is a little more personal to each student. They're answering questions in their own time to try and win a game. So there's several different games. We have Pirate's Voyage, Gold Quest, Crypto Hack, Fishing Frenzy, and they're all just different types of games. I think in here we like Crypto Hack the best. This is where they're like pretending to be hackers and guessing each other's passwords while answering ecosystems questions. We'll just make it a quick one, okay, guys? So we'll make it like a 3-minute. And I can decide if I want them to play for a certain amount of time or if I want them to answer a certain amount of questions. And again, they join the same way. And they're just logging in randomly here so they can choose a nickname or their real name. If I wanted, I could have them log in with Google and then I could see which questions they got right and which they got wrong.
And this is used more for learning and grading, right?
Yes, this is usually when we're studying for a test, when we've just covered something and we need to go over it.
Okay.
So if I did have someone join my Bookit that I wasn't familiar with, I can just click them and it kicks them out. Okay, we're gonna start here. Again, the ID's at the top, if you are not in yet.
Screen to show the answers.
Yeah, we will have someone come up. Do you wanna do that, Hayden? To show how it's played?
Sure.
Come on up. Because the screen here will just show the scoreboard, but Hayden will show you what's going on his screen.
So on the screen, it shows the scoreboard, but on here I choose a password, which I'm just gonna pick a random one. And then after this, it asks me a question, and if I see, I got that, and then I choose a random one, which that would give me double points. So I'd go on the leaderboard.
Okay.
And there's one you could guess, which is a hack, which you guess their password.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a quick one. Hayden's in third. Jared's in second. Catlin first. So then I can view the report. I can see how many incorrect, how many correct. I can see how many Catalea got correct. I won't show the bottom.
You're 72% right. Let's go, Chad.
Okay. Next up, we'll go to one we use almost every day. We will go to IXL, which they don't like as much because it's math and it's lots of questions. Okay, so on here, this is my teacher's view of it. I can see how many hours this year we've spent on IXL as a whole. I can see specific math outcomes that I have assigned to students. I'm just gonna make a quick little quiz for you guys to join. Okay, if I go to understanding opposite integers, I can choose level 1, 2, 3 math question. I can decide how many we need and add them to a quiz. Then I can add, maybe we want to practice something else too. Let's do multiplying fractions. Okay. Multiply 3 fractions and whole numbers. Ooh, that looks tricky. Okay, we'll add 3 of those. Then I have my quiz all made for me with an answer key. And I can publish it to students. It's going to be the same for all students. I can make it different if needed. And I'm going to show them their score and correct answer as soon as they're done. Oops. All students and publish. Okay, you guys should find that under quizzes now. And I can see here I have 0 students submitted. I can see their average as they finish it. And then I can see which curricular outcomes they're understanding and which ones they're not.
Now, do you find that a lot of the resources are gamified?
Yes. Something like Kahoot and Bookit, it is good for review. I wouldn't use it for marking necessarily because it's not really showing me what they know.
Yeah.
IXL though is not gamified, it's just questions, but I like that they get that instant feedback. They know right away if they got it wrong, if they got it right, and it also gives them an explanation of how to get it right. So teachers love it, kids not so much for that one, but that's okay.
And it's a very good individual resource then.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and you can, for example, if we were doing multiplying fractions and I'm noticing someone's getting them all wrong,
Yeah.
and then I've identified, okay, it's because they don't know their multiplication facts.
Yeah.
I can then assign them, work on multiplication facts first, then come back to this.
Right. Whereas without this, and you'd just be kind of doing them on a whiteboard or a blackboard,
Yeah, you don't know who's
individually who is getting it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is the old school way.
Yes, yes, so a little bit more data collection, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more, without having to mark a pile of papers, see who's getting it and who's not, so.
Just generally, what are like the biggest things that you couldn't do without now?
Couldn't do without just having, like all of my resources are gathered in Google Drive. So for example, the other day I was gathering assignments for a student who's going to the Philippines for a month. And everything is organized, science, ecosystems, notes one, print, right? I don't have to go through binders, I don't have to go searching for things, it's all organized on my Google Drive. And everything year after year, I've been teaching grade 7 for 5 years now, so is ready to go for me. Also Miss Spencer and myself collaborate on our resources, so I don't have to do everything, we kind of help each other out. We're in a shared Google Drive, it's all in there. So that's something that's life-changing in comparison to having to write notes on the board. They're all in a Google slide, right?
Yeah.
Or if we're thinking like transparency paper from when I was in school.
Yeah.
And putting that on there and showing it to students. Instead, it's all just here and ready to go. I walk in the morning and it's up and ready.
Right.
I can also share that with students. So my student in the Philippines has access to that from where
Right.
she is. Yeah.
So basically you can access a lot of these resources from anywhere.
Yeah, I can share anything with students, I can share anything with parents from anywhere. So another thing is just having that communication with parents. So at Neepawa Middle School, all teachers use the Remind app, which is a texting app. I have every parent or guardian on Remind, and then we can send messages. I can say we have a test on Friday, we have track on Friday, dress for the weather. So instead of having to, call home or send
Send notes.
letters with
Yeah.
kids, I'm just sending out a quick message.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which in grade 7, we still try to leave a lot of that responsibility on the kids. Because we're trying to teach them, in high school, you're not gonna get a notification every time you have a test, but it's a good way to just keep everybody in the loop.
Yeah.
And there's no surprises for parents. Yeah. And then the kids are also on Google Chat. So that's a good way for them to communicate with me. I don't usually answer them if they, message at 2 a.m. or something, but if it's before 5 o'clock, I try to
Yeah.
answer. If they're like, do we have a test tomorrow? What was for homework? Can I come grab something? I try to answer. Anybody done their quiz? Okay, I'll refresh here. Okay, so on IXL I can see I have 8 students out of 22 who have submitted this. The average for the class right now is 6 out of 7 correct, which is awesome. I can see I have 3 students who got 7 out of 7, 2 students got 6 out of 7, 3 students got 2 out of 7, and only 1 person got 0 to 3 out of 7. And then I can see student scores here. This one was just a test, so don't worry if you got some wrong, you guys. I can also change it to a percentage. I can see which outcomes down here we are acing and which ones we're not doing so well on. So I can see everyone got this question right about understanding opposite integers. All right, guys, what else should I show?
What is something that you use to collaborate on projects?
Okay, so collaboration on projects would be something like Google Slides. Canva, yeah. So Canva is a tool that would replace something like Microsoft Publisher. It is a creative tool. They can create posters, presentations, social media posts if that was something they were doing, videos, pamphlets, anything like that. So if students were in a group and they were creating a brochure, they could just type that in. They could choose one that they like the look of. So if they decided they like this one, and right now it's about the importance of reading, but they can create it. They can invite their classmates to this by clicking share. Right now it's set to only I can access it, but I can change it to anyone with the link. And then I can just send them the link, or I could post this on Google Classroom if I wanted to. Then they can change everything about this and they could both be working on it at the same time. So if Jillian was my group member, she could be working on page 2 while I'm working on page 1. And that's helpful too for if, someone misses a day because they're sick, they can still work away with their partner. What else do you guys collaborate on? What apps or websites? Sorry? Yeah, docs and slides, same idea. Slides is the replacement for PowerPoint. So this is my slide that I share with Ms. Spencer, but the same idea for student presentations. If they were creating a group presentation, we can see up here who all has access to it. So this one is my notes for science. Ms. Spencer and I both have access to it. If we wanted to add another teacher to share this with, we could. if we had a student that was away, we could share the notes with them. The nice thing about this is the students take their notes as we go through. There's also videos included right on here. So instead of having to haul in a TV or a projector, I have a YouTube video right in here about ecosystems, which also splits up our note-taking time a little bit, so we're not just spending an hour writing. And next year when I get to ecosystems, this is all right in there.
Now, when you're taking notes, is that usually in Google Docs or something, or is it by hand, or a little combination?
You do it by hand.
By hand? Okay.
By hand, so I give them some fill-in-the-blank notes, just
Okay.
because grade 7 is our introduction to doing notes, so they're filling in key terms as they follow
I see,
along.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is still kind of a combination of using those then?
Yes, for sure, and there's definitely, I don't think that technology will ever totally take over pencil paper, because I think that there's still benefits to that, right? And a little bit of learning involved in using the pencil and paper. Would you guys agree? Learning how to spell, learning how to write, not using AI for writing an essay. So graphic design is a class I teach as an option in grade 7. So this is teaching students the ins and outs of using programs like Canva to create personal designs. So this transfers over to, they can use this for projects, but we kind of do fun assignments, so creating logos, creating personal calendars, creating takeout menus, stuff like that.
Is there like an educational version of Canva, or is it just the same?
I have Canva for teachers,
Okay.
which is the same as Canva Pro. So they give it to teachers for free. Otherwise, you can pay for it.
Yeah.
So I have Canva for education.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a version of it that is available.
Yep. Yeah, anybody can have it. Do you want to come show Alexa? Show us your calendar.
In graphic design, we're making a calendar and of every month, and I just added pictures, and I'm gonna add like from the BPS whatever the school calendar, all of the things that are happening, like the last day
Oh,
of
so it's like
school.
functional calendar.
Yeah, and when school starts and stuff.
Nice. Thank you.
Jared, do you have something you want to share? What are you looking at?
Nothing.
Okay. Anyone else have something, a Canva creation they want to share? Something you're proud of? Kat Leah, you have some beautiful ones. Do you want to come show? Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah. And this is all done in Canva.
Yeah, so this is all part of graphic design
Okay.
class.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's, we've covered most things that I had thought of, but we can be open to questions too, that you have.
I've sort of been asking what I wanted to know as we
Yeah.
went along,
Yeah.
because for you guys too, the same question I asked you, what is sort of the most important piece of technology you think you have for your classroom?
Like we.
Yeah, for any of you personally, which one do you think is your most important one?
Which one, if it like was lagging or shut down, could we not go without?
I'd say class group chats because we can ask each other things.
Yeah, so if they're put in a group together, they can create a
Yeah.
group chat, which is super nice.
Yeah. And it keeps from being disruptive in the classroom.
Yeah. Yeah, like usually we get them to chat and talk with each other at school, but if it's like, did you finish the summary after school
Yeah.
or whatever, super nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think that we are getting to a point where there's a healthier balance, right? There's not as much emphasis on we have to use all the tech, but that there's time and place for where tech is beneficial, and a time and place for when we go back to pencil paper, we go back to reading a book, we go back to using a textbook. So,
Right.
yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you all so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. That was good.